live for those of you who choose to enjoy the live stream on this Sunday evening. And of course, hello to the rest of you who will get the podcast after the fact. My name is Matt Connerton. And of course, with me, as always, Eric Pilcher. Hello, Eric.
Hello, Matt. Hello, everyone. It's a great, warm, hot, sweltering day here in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Days I hate.
It's going to
Days
hit.
I loathe.
I know you and I are polar opposites in this because you prefer
Well,
the
no,
cold.
we're not polar opposites. You are clinically insane, and I am normal.
I like the heat and I hate the cold. And when it gets too hot, I just say to myself, well, I'd rather it be 100 degrees because it's supposed to hit 100 here on Tuesday. I'd rather it be 100 degrees than 20 below zero. I'll take this
You,
anytime.
you know, we have a superstar in our presence,
Yeah.
and he is very upset with this heat.
Yeah.
Yes, we do. Rocky does not like the heat.
Oh, yes.
He actually gets sick when it's this hot.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
he throws up. So I don't think we've done an episode since that news broke.
oh, yeah. You should mention that about Rocky.
Yes, Rocky is going to be in a nationally published calendar. Everyone, he's been on the show a couple times, not
Yep.
invited,
Yep.
but you can see he has his own pillow here.
Yes.
Yes, he is my sweet prince. He has been selected by a company to be in their nationally published calendar. Um, they are available now. The link, Matt has shared out the link. You guys can click the link. They are a little pricey, but these calendars do go to Pets in Need. The proceeds go to Pets in Need. So, and I will tell everyone this. I did not ask Matt about this, but if you buy a calendar and send it to me, I'll set up a P.O. box if we have enough interest. Send it to my P.O. box, and Rocky, will autograph your copy at no additional charge.
Wow.
You will get a paw-tograph
Wow.
on the month of June that Rocky will be on.
Okay. Well,
Yes,
That's wonderful.
a paw-tograph, which
Okay.
he will take his paw, he will put it in ink with some
Mhm.
guiding from me, and he
Mhm.
will put his paw on your calendar, and it will be sent back to you
That is
with a
incredibly exciting.
Rocky paw-tograph, and
Okay.
guaranteed to go up in value.
Wow. Guaranteed. Wow.
Yes, him and I had a tough negotiation on the split here.
Mm-hmm.
I held a Arby's roast beef slider in front of him
Mm-hmm.
and told him 80-20. And
Yeah.
he lunged for the slider, and I said, no, if you take the slider, you agree to these terms.
Okay. Well.
And he lunged again. He took the slider, so it's an 80-20 split.
Okay.
And I will make sure that Rocky does not become a Kennedy, drunk with power and money, and take care of his 20% for him.
Okay. Well, that sounds very fair. Very fair.
Well, because he did try to run for president, but there was a sex scandal that occurred at the dog park that thwarted his candidacy, if you recall, Matt.
Well, that I do recall. I recall that vividly. I didn't think he'd come back from that, but obviously he has.
He's a fighter.
Mhm.
Not the fighter that Michael Vick would like him to be, but he's a fighter nonetheless. And
Right.
he really came back from that. I
Yes.
think that the power got to his head, and we took him to a dog park, and he just went off like Jack Kennedy at a Hollywood convention.
My goodness. My
It
goodness.
was a very sad scandal. We tried to get James Comey to help him out, but he was preoccupied.
I understand. I understand. Wow. Well, very exciting.
Very exciting for Rocky.
Yes.
He we've had to rein him in a little bit with his ego.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Well, very good. So we will monitor that closely. And
Yes.
yes, yes. Well, should we talk about something happened? What should we talk about first? Should we talk about Liv Morgan?
Yeah, because I think the Liv thing is going to be a little bit shorter than the next subject.
Yeah, Jenny and I were watching on we were watching Monday Night Raw live, and what happened to Liv Morgan, the injury, it happened so quickly. It happened right at the beginning of the match. We actually
Yes,
had
it
to back
did.
it up because we both were a little unclear for a second. Wait, what just happened? And it was clear that Liv Morgan, I guess she has a separated shoulder. It happened right in the beginning, like literally the very first move. She was in the ring with I forget now. Who was she in there with?
Io
Oh,
Sky, I think.
oh no, it was Kari Zane.
Yeah, okay.
That's right,
Okay.
Kari Zane. And so they were in there, and right on the very first move, Liv goes up and she comes down on her shoulder, and so it was immediate. So that's how because very often when there's an injury in the ring during a match, you don't know if it's real right
Well,
away,
you heard
or if
this.
it's part of the storyline. But this was obviously real.
You heard this sickening thud
Yeah,
when her shoulder hit the mat. And going through a shoulder injury right now myself, you definitely know
right.
that something ain't right. One, I want to first commend two people in that situation:
Hmm.
the referee and Kari Sane,
Hmm.
because Liv rolled out of the ring.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And the thing is that was very good on Liv's part to get out of the ring,
Hmm.
but for Kari Sane to not pursue her
Hmm.
and just, I think she did, but she paused, and the referee then went out. And the quick thinking of the producers backstage to call the match.
Yeah.
There are times in pro wrestling where that has not happened.
Yeah, and it's
Where,
awkward because then the person who's still in the ring has to stall,
yeah,
and yeah.
yeah, like to it's it, so yeah, everyone involved did an amazing job ensuring Liv's safety, but
Yeah.
man, and this isn't to trivialize what happened to Liv. But damn, what's this do to WWE's plans for the women's division? Think about this. Liv was going to be a big part of Evolution, too, the
Mhm.
all women's pay per view. She was
Yes.
going to have a match, theoretically, but it was building to that with Nikki Bella.
Yeah.
Now, what do you pivot to? What do you do with the women's tag division? Because
Oh,
her and Rick,
I know what they should do. Can I do a very quick fantasy booking? I have a brilliant idea.
I hope you go the direction I went in my head.
All right, let's see if
Because
I did. Uh,
okay, yeah.
Roxanne Perez. Roxanne Perez,
Uh,
and they pattern it after the same. She does to Liv Morgan what Liv Morgan did to Rhea Ripley, and it
well,
plays
yeah,
out. Yeah.
yeah. Well, Liv, when she comes back, is going to be over. She'll be a face.
Yes.
And so you can't really put her back with Dominic Mysterio.
Well, now maybe you can, because
Unless
Dominic's going to
you,
be a face at some point in probably the not so distant future, and he's going to be the most over baby face we've seen in a long time. But having said that,
there's one major hill they have to get over to get to that. Look, fans, it'll be so tough. They have to resolve the issues with him and Ray to make him a face. He can't be a face without that At least
No, he can. Sure he can. They don't have to get to it right away. They can get to that eventually. They don't have to get to it right away. Oh, he's gonna be so over, dude. When they finally pull the trigger, and they shouldn't rush it. They should take their time with it, just like with Damian Priest. But I'm telling you, I think those wheels are already in motion, and he's gonna be so over.
yeah, I agree with you. I just think we disagree on the way you have to go about it.
Sure.
I think you tie it with Liv coming back.
Oh yeah, no, I think so too. I think that would be amazing. Yeah.
I think so yeah, you do a slow burn and just hope that Liv has no complications.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to do the slow burn, but have the burn take too long. And then the fans just check out and you're left, you've wasted Dominic Mysterio now, this cash cow you have. And yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
It's a tough spot because you got to do it at the right time, and it has to be well executed.
Well, she has been amazing too. Talk about an MVP. I mean, because I remember thinking she's been one of my favorites in the women's division for a long time. And to watch her really kind of get to that level where she's so prominent in storylines and world champion, tag team champion, and she's in Judgment Day and all of it. I kind of, I've watched this and thought it's about time because her character is incredible. It works as either a babyface or a heel. She can play it either way and is phenomenal. And she's great in the ring. Her matches are always excellent. So it's been fun for me as a fan to watch her, I think, really get her due over the past couple of years and really ascend.
I'm going to say this. And if there are some knuckleheads out there that want to call me sexist, a pig, you know what? Go for it. You can't have steak without the sizzle.
Eric, Eric, I apologize. I missed about 15 seconds of what you said because I accidentally knocked my headphones out of the headphone jack. I apologize.
No, I said that if there's some knuckleheads out there that want to say I'm a sexist, I'm a pig, for what I'm about to say now, go ahead. You're an idiot. You can't have steak without the sizzle. And Liv Morgan, in my opinion, is one of the most beautiful women's wrestlers of all time.
Oh, she is. Yeah, she's very attractive, of course.
And like that shot for a woman's wrestler, you gotta have that. You gotta have that look to you. And just to be fair, Rhea Ripley has it as well, just in a different way.
In a very different way, yeah.
Liv Morgan has that girl next door, all American girl look. And yeah, WWE lost a major player for the next 4 months in the women's division.
Yeah.
And anyone who says otherwise is an idiot. I hope that with Liv being gone, they strap a rocket to this girl's ass. Chelsea Green is a workhorse.
Yes.
She definitely needs to be in that top tier. Get her out of the Intercontinental and US champion picture. She does all the promotional stuff. Get her in a feud now with Io Sky or I forget who the other women's champion is, honestly.
Oh, Tiffany Stratton.
Yeah, I can't believe. I think Tiffany Stratton is the most beautiful women's athlete after most beautiful women's wrestler after Trish Stratus.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I have a thing for blondes that they need to get into.
No, I agree with you though about Chelsea Green. By the way, she's another one who, and they should not rush this. They should take their time. But eventually they're going to have to turn her and she's another one
yeah.
she's going to be massively over as a babyface because
But
yeah,
the
she's a heel and we love to boo her and everything, but it's the same kind of boo. We boo her the same way we boo Dominic Mysterio. She's incredibly entertaining, super likable, even though she's a heel. And from what I've read online, she's very, very well liked within the company. They really love her.
Well, she does everything. She's a workhorse.
Yeah. Oh
She
yeah.
does all the promotion. Whenever they're in a spot, they can go to her. She is
Yeah.
like a catch-all for
Yeah.
WWE, and every promotion needs those people.
Yeah.
You can keep your Mercedes Monets with their belts and creative control. You give me one Chelsea Green, I will give you 6 Mercedes Monets.
Sure. Sure. I agree.
And
I agree. Yeah.
and my company will succeed because I have that person who puts what's better for the company ahead of what's better for her.
Mm-hmm.
Charlotte Flair's the same way in the bad sense that
Yeah.
I think Charlotte puts herself ahead of the company. I feel like Becky Lynch is getting into that realm.
I like Becky Lynch currently though. Becky Lynch I like only as a heel. As a babyface, I think she's boring as hell.
I think the great thing about Becky is Becky will do anything if the story makes sense.
Oh, sure.
You couldn't see Charlotte Flair do a intercontinental title storyline. No
Right.
way in hell. From what I've read, they had to force her to challenge for the NXT title at WrestleMania.
By the way, you know who you haven't mentioned, who is also incredible in his ascendant, is Stephanie Vaquer. She's incredible. She's there. She's going to be the next like main eventer, like consistent main eventer.
I think her and Roxanne Perez are the next 2 big homegrown up and comers because you can't call. I don't think you can call a lot of the other girls. You can't say it about Vaquer either because she became popular in other areas. Can't say that about Chelsea Green because Chelsea made her name outside of WWE. Same with Vaquer.
Right.
I think Roxanne Perez is probably the next one because she had a name before WWE, but not a big name.
Right. She's young. She's only like what, 23? She's very young.
Yep.
So she's really in the beginning of, I mean, Stephanie Vaquer, I think, is also pretty young, but Roxanne is like really in the early years of her career.
And I think Vaquer, that will probably be the greatest mistake Tony Khan ever made. And there's been a lot of mistakes. That's probably the biggest one, is booking her without a contract on your pay-per-view.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not negotiating with her after.
Yeah. Yeah. No, she's a star. Absolutely.
Like, could you imagine being Nick Khan and Paul Levesque sitting there and like, oh, we should talk to this girl. She probably has a contract.
Right.
Oh, she doesn't. Does she have she probably has a non-compete. She doesn't. Okay.
I would dare say, and I hadn't really thought about it until now, but they have Evolution 2 coming up. I'm sorry, Revolution 2, the next all women's pay-per-view.
It's Evolution.
It is Evolution. I'm sorry. I don't know why I keep getting it
is.
wrong. Oh, you know why? You know why I get it wrong? Because because we talk about the women's revolution in wrestling, but you're right. The pay-per-view.
I think it's because we also we think of Evolution in pro wrestling, and you can't help but go to Triple H, Batista, Randy Orton, and Ric Flair. And it seems off to have a pay-per-view named that.
Yeah, that's true. But it's easy to see why they're finally doing a second one of those, because the women's division is so loaded with talent right now. I dare say I don't think the women's division in wrestling in any company has been as strong as it is right now. There are so many very talented athletes who they have these incredible matches. It's I don't think Jenny will mind me saying this, but not to speak for her, but when she and I first started watching wrestling together, she was really not into the women's matches at all. She was kind of like, yeah, I don't really like watching the women wrestle. And she's changed her mind on that because there's so many. It is very common now to hear a "This is awesome" chant during a women's match.
I would. I'm gonna shut up. I'm not gonna go down that road. There are times I miss attitude days of women's wrestling.
I don't miss that shit. Bra and panties matches and stuff like that. Call me a feminist, but I think that stuff is degrading and it's not even interesting.
It is. I mean, I'm not even gonna sit here and defend it. It's
well,
like
but you said you miss it.
I mean,
I don't miss any of that stuff.
Oh man.
God.
That got me through some lonely nights in high school.
Well, that's that's fine. But no, I don't miss any of that. No, I think it's better. I think women's wrestling is better than it's ever been.
Metal loving pro wrestling nerd. There were a lot of lonely nights.
I understand. I mean, I can't relate, but I understand.
Yeah, that's mean.
Oh boy. Well, you know,
like
okay.
what do you tell women? Oh, you want to watch Doctor Who on Friday night on Iowa Public Television?
Well,
it didn't work.
No,
never worked. Swing and a miss.
Fair enough. But yeah, so we hope for the best for Liv Morgan. She'll be back.
Yes, absolutely.
She'll be back soon. Should we move on to the next subject on the undercard?
Yeah.
Open this big can of worms. So you said something to me when we were talking about this right before the show. This hadn't even occurred to me. What this could possibly have to do with professional wrestling, and I'm almost embarrassed that it didn't occur to me because it seems like such an obvious concern that you've raised, and yet somehow I hadn't thought of it. But now that we've chosen to attack Iran, the next big pay-per-view, of course, coming up in a very short time. It's next weekend, right? Night of Champions, the next big premium live event. This one's going to be in Saudi Arabia, or at least as far as we know, it's still going to be in Saudi Arabia. And
yes.
that part of the world has suddenly become even more inflamed than usual now that we've attacked Iran. So, and we talked about it last week on the show in terms of CM Punk. And so it's not the first time that we've talked about Night of Champions. Of course, we talked about the little bit of controversy around or potential for controversy around him going to Saudi Arabia, whereas in the past he'd said some derisive things. But he's on the card facing John Cena at this event. But
yeah, tentatively. Card subject to change.
Are you all right, Eric, or did you just have a miniature stroke?
You said he's going, and I'm like,
okay, I didn't know. Is that an Iowa thing? I didn't. Okay.
Card subject to change.
Well, is the whole thing subject to change now? I mean, and again, I hadn't thought of this until you brought it up to me, but I mean, there's got to be concerns, right? Now that the entire situation is inflamed in that part of the world.
And I think, and I read it somewhere, or I think I was helping a friend of mine's father with some technical issues this morning, and I think I saw it. He was watching Fox News, and I think I saw it on there, maybe, that Ayatollah Amini.
There's Khomeini, but I feel like I've been hearing about Ayatollah Khomeini since I was a kid, so I don't know how many Khomeinis there are. It's probably a big family.
But he has threatened the lives of American citizens over there.
Yeah,
and I think the Iranian government is backing him in this claim. To me, that poses grave concerns for WWE. And look, it would be very difficult, and I want fans to understand this. It would be very difficult, or anyone listening, you don't even have to be a fan, to move this event on 5 days notice
Right.
to an American venue.
Right.
What do you do? Do you scratch it? And I mean, because look, the Saudi government can say, "Oh, we give you protection,"
Yeah.
but if Iranian forces want to do something, they're going to do it. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about this. Um, and then what do you do if WWE says on with the show and a star like, I'm going to throw out some names here that tentatively could be on the card based on match results this week. Cody Rhodes, Jey Uso, CM Punk, John. I don't think John Cena would do this,
Right.
but John Cena,
Right.
someone prominent on that card goes, I'm going.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm not going. I am not risking this. I sincerely hope Nick Khan and WWE comes up with something. Everything I said last week, notwithstanding, about not watching these events because
Mhm.
of personal belief.
Yeah.
My plea to Nick Khan, TKO, Endeavor, and Paul Levesque: think of your athletes. Think of your performers here. Is it worth it?
Mm-hmm.
Because what are you going to do? What are you going to do if? What are you going to do if if Iranian forces kidnap some athletes?
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Yeah.
We talk about the horrors that befell Brittany Griner being in a Russian work camp.
Mm-hmm.
That is nothing compared to what these athletes captive by the Iranian government would do to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm not trying to fearmonger or
No, it's a legitimate concern.
Or be xenophobic. Let's not sit here and act like that this has not happened before. Some of you may be too young to know about the Iranian hostages, the Iranian hostage crisis. So I personally, I think, yeah, the Iranians make ISIS look like grade schoolers from Brian Mackey. That is painfully accurate. That is very, and that's scary. This event cannot happen. I'm sorry. I'm just a guy in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Cannot happen. You cannot send your performers over there right now.
Well, I think, my assumption is that it's going to happen because, as you said, it just seems unlikely that they would cancel it. SportsIllustrated.com, SI.com has an article, backstage update on WWE Night of Champions following U.S. airstrikes on Iran. And the author of this, Rick Ucchino, if I'm saying that correctly.
Not familiar with him.
This was posted 6 hours ago, and he's reporting that there is no plan within TKO to pull this event or to reassess, and that talent are still set to travel out midweek to head to Saudi Arabia for this event. And but they're also not talking either. Nobody at TKO is talking, according to this, according to what I'm reading.
Okay, as someone that is and was a sports reporter, that indicates to me there's some thought process going
Yeah.
on right now. Because if TKO were dead set on going, there would be a statement out saying, we're going, we're standing for an official statement.
Oh, so you think the fact that they're not saying anything means that they're considering not going?
Yes, I
Okay.
think there's talks, like it's a lot of money, but like if we send them, I mean, I haven't heard of travel bans yet, Brian. Very good point, by the way. I haven't heard of travel bans yet, but they're probably coming. I would say
so
very quickly.
See, that didn't occur to me either, that angle. It's good that Brian brought that up. So yeah, because at any point, but what happened? But travel bans are not mandatory. So at least not typically, right? So if the State Department says,
if you're a multi-billion-dollar company, and are you going to risk the negative publicity you're going to get if you send them and say they're going?
But
I mean,
are they going to risk losing that money? I mean, there's a lot of money on the line too. Are they going to risk? I mean, there's risk either way. Are they going to risk that money? I mean, that's a big chunk of their revenue. These Saudi shows are huge money.
I mean, if you don't have the top stars that are going to go,
well, yeah.
I mean, the hell else are you going to do? If you lose your 3 or 4 top people on the card, you don't have a card.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could throw something together, but it's not gonna, there's gonna be a sour taste left in the audience's mouth, the live audience, certainly. And yeah, could it hurt their relationship with Rida season? Absolutely. But fuck Rida season. They're a scumbag organization. They're a scumbag group. They defend atrocities in the name of, look at all this great sports we're bringing.
Right.
So, yeah, no, shit runs downhill. I'm sorry. Karma comes eventually. If you do shit things, eventually shit things come to you. And I'm being really frank here because chickens have come to roost. And yeah, and I love it that, I mean, yes, I know people's lives are being lost, and we're staring at very terrifying times. But evil can't always win.
By the way, according to, and again, this is from the SI.com article, apparently Sean Ross Sapp says, quote, that one source, speaking on a matter of opinion, didn't believe it would be postponed or canceled and thought there was too much money at stake with the upcoming Royal Rumble being there. Beyond that, the source said that Saudi is one of the safest places in the world as it relates to this situation. And another source believed that WWE would be made assurances of safety. So,
I mean, okay, we have had emissaries from the United States go to the Middle East.
Mm-hmm. Brian said if some organizations send people overseas during this and something goes wrong, Trump's goons will put them in prison. Well, keep in mind, though, Trump is himself a WWE Hall of Famer in the celebrity wing. So he's actually, they could work, that could be an opportunity to work him into a storyline.
Well, I mean,
I'm kidding. That's a little dark humor, but
also, well, in key to that too, Donald Trump is very close with Ari Emanuel, Dana White. Those are guys on TKO's board. Yeah, I mean, and if you don't think that those two are using their connections to the president to get some information, you're you're sorely mistaken. I guarantee you that they've found a way to contact the president to be like, "Hey,
Sure.
what are we looking at here?"
Yeah. I'll make a prediction. I don't think anything changes. I think the
I
event
do,
goes forward. That's my prediction. What's
I
yours?
don't I think it goes on. I
Yeah.
don't watch. Um I think hot take. One major star checks out.
Really?
Don't know who. I'm not going to predict who it is.
I thought
I
I
think
thought maybe
what?
I thought maybe you were gonna say CM Punk.
No, I don't think Punk will.
Okay.
I do not think Punk will because I think that this for him, and this isn't selfish on his part. I think for him, it's a prove it to the fans that he has changed.
Okay.
Um, but I'm going to say a major name does not make the trip.
Okay. Okay.
And I think it causes a major change in storylines
Okay.
going into SummerSlam. And I
Okay.
think we'll start to see that pivot on this week's programming.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting.
And it will be painfully obvious because whenever WWE has to pivot quickly, it's a shit show.
Oh, I don't agree with that.
Whenever they have to pivot quick, you can tell.
I
Whether it's, you can tell.
I would have said that at one time. Well, I don't think it's a shit show though. Always, I think Triple H is very good at making lemons out of lemonade, and
I
I'm
think
thinking
you'll be
specifically
able.
of
I think you'll be
WrestleMania, not
able
this
to know.
past one, but the one before. I'm sorry, what?
I think you'll be able to know. You'll be able to
Oh,
tell
sure. No,
that
I
it
agree,
wasn't.
but that's not a bad thing necessarily.
I think it can be in some instances because then there's blowback on the wrestler. Like you think that The Rock having bad box office draws, people are saying, "Oh, that's just because people are tired of The Rock." Not entirely. A large part of The Rock's box office draw is pro wrestling fans.
Sure.
Pro wrestling fans are pissed off at The Rock. They're not going
Mm,
to his movies. The key indicator is going to be when the Smashing Machine comes out.
mm.
If that has low box office, we know now that pro wrestling fans have a major say because this film has been talked about and talked about and talked about.
I don't even know what it is. I assume it's some
Uh,
action thing.
no,
It's not.
it's a biopic about
Oh,
the
that's right.
Smashing Machine, Mark Kerr.
Yeah, Mark Kerr's not a household name though, so I think this project might not be a big
I
blockbuster
think
anyway.
I,
I mean, I don't
I
know.
think you underestimate the story of Mark Kerr in the sense that he is very well known from the HBO documentary, The
Yeah,
Smashing Machine, and he is very well known for in MMA circles. Like if you start watching MMA and you go to UFC Fight Pass, they
mhm,
have a section that breaks down these are the fights that you need to see. Mark
okay.
Kerr is in a lot of those fights.
Really? Okay,
Mark Kerr is like the one of the American godfathers of mixed martial arts.
okay. Huh.
Him, Mark Coleman,
Mark
Ken
Coleman I'm
Sham,
familiar with, yeah,
Ken Shamrock,
and Shamrock, of course.
uh I forget it. Oh, man, I'm a mess today.
Well, the
His
Gracies, of
brother.
course.
Well,
All
the
the
Gracies weren't American.
American, I'm sorry. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
Frank Shamrock.
hmm, Frank Shamrock, yeah.
Frank, Ken, Mark Coleman, Mark Kerr, Tito Ortiz is
Oh
just
yeah.
likable as he is now. Those are probably the Chuck Liddell, and if you wanted to go one deeper, Matt Hughes are probably the early MMA American icons.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I mean, I get that MMA probably isn't your thing, Matt.
I'm a casual fan, but I haven't even been a casual fan in a while. I just haven't kept up.
But
But
Mark Kerr is a big deal.
okay.
Big deal. And to have his story told and to get past the documentary Smashing Machine is going to be very good because he did not come off good in that
Oh, really?
documentary.
Oh, okay.
And he shouldn't have, and he's even admitted he was a scumbag.
Oh.
Roided out, drugged out, abusive to those around him, just not a good guy. They could have done a Dark Side of the Cage on Mark Kerr.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
All right. Well, should we? So it'll be interesting to see what happens with this. Shall we move on to the main event?
Yes, we get to talk about the Triple Cage of Doom.
Oh, good Lord, the Triple Cage of Doom. So we, for those who don't know, if you're new to the show, because I like to think we have new listeners every week. Of course, here on Tough Bumps, we have the undercard where we cover a couple of news stories happening in professional wrestling, and then we have the main event where we pick a different subject each week. And last week was the subject of Hulk Hogan versus Macho Man Randy Savage. The rivalry, or a rivalry, as a certain individual from New York likes to say. But we decided to do a part 2 on this
You
because
stop that, Matt Covington.
Oh, yes, I'm so sorry, Eric Pincher. Yes, I'm sorry. I shouldn't I shouldn't pick on him, but he is an elderly man. He's he's in his 80s and he's probably not in his right mind. But
in some bougie housing.
Yes. 3721. I've been hearing that number.
I've thrown around.
Sure. But yeah.
Definitely not a real New Yorker living environment.
Clearly not. But yeah, so Macho Man versus Hogan spanned so many years and has so many chapters to it that we have to do a part 2. And
the WCW stuff.
Yeah. Well, of course, when Macho Man Randy Savage, when he left WWE, or at that time, of course, it was still the WWF. By the way, that was a very interesting night. Because I remember watching live on Monday Night Raw and wondering where Macho Man was, because I think Shawn Michaels was on color commentary, if I remember correctly, with Vince McMahon.
Yes, I think you're right. Unfortunately.
And I liked Shawn as a color commentator. I realize I'm probably one of the few people who did, but I actually really liked him in that role. I thought he was great. I thought he was very underrated. I thought he was funny. He got a lot of little under the radar jokes in during when he would talk, and I like that. But the night that Macho Man, apparently his tenure in WWE had come to an end. Vince McMahon, he waited until I think the last segment of the show, and he kind of made a little announcement. And this was unheard of at the time. Usually somebody goes away and that's it. You pretend they never existed. That was how that company used to operate. And you just never mentioned them on television again. But Vince actually gave what seemed to be a very heartfelt and sad goodbye to Macho Man Randy Savage, which is interesting given the fact that eventually they got to a point where Macho Man was never ever referred to on WWE television again either, and there's rumors about that. But
we're not getting into those.
No, we won't get into that. We won't get into all that.
That's very disturbing.
But that particular night, Vince actually said, and you could see, and you could always tell leading up to that they had Vince and Macho Man on commentary did seem to have, you could kind of sense, at least I always could, a genuine friendship between the two of them. They seemed to really enjoy each other's company, and they came across as being very close. Kind of similar in a way to the dynamic between Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby the Brain Heenan, even though they were obviously adversaries on screen, you could tell. It was obvious, which is part of what made it so great. You could tell that underneath that they had a genuine affection for each other.
Oh yeah.
It was obvious, but of course it's all about suspension of disbelief, right? So you go for the ride, but you could just tell underneath it these guys really love each other. And that was
Yes.
I felt similarly when watching Vince and Macho Man Randy Savage on commentary. And by the way, I also thought, and I understand that Macho Man was not happy during that period. He wanted to still be participating in the ring. But I thought Macho Man Randy Savage, again, grossly underrated as a color commentator. I thought he was entertaining as hell. And again, I know that's something a lot of fans will disagree with me. You liked him on commentary?
I did.
You did? Yeah. I even liked when they had him on Superstars of Wrestling, and it was Vince, Macho Man, and Roddy Piper. When it was all three of them, a lot of fans shit on that. I thought it was good.
That was too much.
You didn't like it? I liked it.
That was too much. Too much. Too many explosive personalities.
I liked it. I thought it was cool. I thought it was cool.
You know who my favorite wrestling color commentator was?
Who?
Like wrestler that would do color commentary.
Who?
Kurt Hennig. Kurt Hennig on color commentary.
He was good too. No, he was good. I agree.
What made him good? Go and watch the video of him and Stone Cold Steve Austin on Superstars.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. They almost fight in the booth.
No, he was also very good. I agree with you. He was excellent. But yeah, so that night that Vince makes that announcement, which left me with the impression, and I don't remember if this is actually true or not. You seem to know these types of details better than I do, Eric. Is it true that they were negotiating right up to the last minute, and that's why Vince made that announcement in the last segment of it? Wasn't at the very end, if I remember correctly, but it was going into the final segment of the show that night.
They knew. They knew the whole show.
They knew beforehand? Okay.
Yeah, they knew. Look, the issue was that Randy was supposed to. This is from Bruce Pritchard's podcast. Randy was supposed to go into a backstage role as a producer.
Oh, what a waste of talent.
Because WWF thought they didn't think the tank was empty. They thought it was running close to empty. And Randy wanted to be off the road.
Yeah.
Randy didn't want to be on the road anymore. So it was, okay, what do we do? Well, we can have him do the commentary thing, and we can have him be a backstage producer.
Yeah.
Cool. Then Randy started seeing what the payouts were for this.
Mm-hmm.
And Randy was not happy. Randy wanted to get back into the ring. Randy wanted to do other things. Randy had ideas, and his ideas conflicted with what Vince McMahon had.
Yeah.
Vince is like, well, the big thing I do believe this, is that Randy wanted to have a feud with Shawn Michaels.
Oh, yes, and which would have been epic.
It would have been. But the rumor is that the Clique, at that point in time, it was only Shawn Michaels, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, and Sean Waltman. Triple H had not joined the company yet.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. He wasn't there yet.
I think Nash and Hall, this is the rumor and innuendo, got in Sean's ear, and they're like, no, don't do that, because everything we're fighting for, that's going to be like against that. We want the old guard out the door. We want this new generation to take over. We want you and Brett to be the guys. And if you do that, you're going to have to job out to him. And the rumor is that Sean said, no. I'm not doing that.
And we should keep in mind too, and this is something to keep in mind as we're talking about not only that situation specifically, but that period more broadly, is that, Macho Man at this point was 40, right? And
Mhm.
and at that time, it was very different. You see, younger fans might not won't realize this, but at that time, by the time these guys hit 40, it was like, oh, about time they start retiring, right? Whereas today, at 40, like you're in the prime of your career in professional wrestling. But back then, it was like 40. Oh no, you got it. You're done. You're in the past. We got to move
Yeah,
on.
I think Matt, we need to also contextualize this a lot because they were on the road 300 days a year.
Yep. And they were
Wasn't
living like rock stars too.
yeah, there wasn't the traveling in chartered buses. There
Right.
wasn't the guys who take hyperbaric chambers with them.
Yep.
Guys weren't sitting in the hotel rooms playing video
No, they
games.
were at the bar.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was a different
and
lifestyle. Yeah.
uh, to quote Bret Hart, a lot of snowy nights.
Yep. Yep. It was a
uh,
different lifestyle. Yeah.
very much, and so yeah, it was a different time, and I see Sean's point. I see Razor's point. I see Diesel's point. I don't necessarily. I don't know if it would have helped Sean's career at that point because his trajectory was already to the moon. Like you
Sure.
only do a Savage angle with a guy that you want to get to that trajectory.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think Savage would have benefited more in that sense because it would have
I mean,
shown
then
he's
they
still
turned around.
relevant.
Well, then they turned around and did it with Crush, and it was a train wreck.
Oh, that
So
was awful.
it
Yeah.
had to be the right guy,
Yeah.
and Crush wasn't. And again, a point I made during the news segment is, when WWE has to pivot quickly. You
Yeah.
want an example of that? Macho Man with Crush. There
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah.
And I think WWE used that WrestleMania 10 match as you don't got it anymore. When if you give someone a turd sandwich,
Right. There's only so much Savage could
there's
do.
only
Yeah.
so much you can do with it.
Yeah. Of course.
And so yeah, one, it was a bad match it was a horrible idea.
Yeah.
And two, they cut their time in half right before they went out there.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Crush is green as goose shit, and you're telling Savage, "Hey, you're carrying this guy, and now you got to cut it in half because Brett and Owen ran over."
Yeah.
And then I forget there was another match that ran over, and you wanted to give time for the ladder match, which also ran over.
Yeah.
And the WrestleMania 10 was very snake bit from a time standpoint because there was a match that didn't even make the card. Guys were in Gorilla, waiting to go out for a 6-man tag.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't happen.
I remember Pritchard talking about that, saying he
Yeah,
had to
did
cancel
not
it because the
happen.
show was running long. Yeah.
Yeah, they just could not make up the time.
Yeah.
And it was unfortunate because so many matches that would have been good, you cut, and
Yeah.
they just did not turn out good. Like,
Yeah.
and you got to get it all in, and just, oh man.
Yeah. But so Macho Man, so he's done, and then I don't remember how long. I don't think it was very long, right, before he showed up in WCW.
Let me
feel.
look at.
Oh yeah. I feel like it was just a couple of months, if that. I feel like it happened pretty fast. He shows up on Saturday night's main event, and this was before the time of
December 3rd, 1994 episode of WCW Saturday Night. He appeared on the show to confront Hulk Hogan and stated his desire to be WCW World Heavyweight Champion. His last WWE appearance was
I feel like it wasn't there wasn't much time between. Because Macho Man, oh, go ahead.
End of October 1994.
So just a
So
couple
it
of
was-
months.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, I remember watching. Now, this was before we had, all these websites like wrestlinginc.com. So
Well, Dave Meltzer was actually on this. He
really?
said that his WCW debut was imminent.
Oh, so Meltzer knew. Okay. Because I remember being very surprised.
Meltzer knew that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you kind of felt that they signed Hogan. It's possible, but then it was just bad.
What was bad?
Just bad. It was bad. This whole Willie or won't he? Is he Hogan's friend? Is he Hogan's enemy? And what I would have loved to have happen.
Yeah.
Is they get into what we're going to talk about. Yes. Oh, I'm so happy. They get into the cage match, and you have Savage turn on Hogan.
Yeah.
Well, in the cage, and Savage joins the Dungeon of Doom.
Well, because I remember, Savage when he comes out, and I remember watching this on television. When he comes out on WCW Saturday Night, which ran on TBS at
6:05,
6:05. He comes out and he says he's either going to confront Hulk Hogan. He expressed that right up front, and he was either going to slap his face or shake his hand, and we'd have to wait and see what he was going to do. And then he ended up shaking his hand. But
I think though, that was fine.
Yeah,
they should have really slow burn this because at Starrcade they had him help Hogan.
Yeah.
And you're just like, ugh, why? If you're going to do the Doomsday Cage match, and I think Lex Luger was a part of the Dungeon of Doom, and just
He was?
Yeah, he was a part of the Dungeon of Doom because that whole stupid storyline with Sting where him and Sting were the tag team champions, and Sting would be doing the right thing, but somehow, some way, the ref would get distracted, and Luger would do something underhanded for him and Sting to keep the titles. And
I remember that, and I liked that storyline. I thought that was cool.
That was a great storyline, but then you had him in cahoots with the Dungeon of Doom or the Four Horsemen, and what side is Luger on? And Lex Luger with that look, that physique, if he's gonna be a heel, you either have to have him as a narcissistic a-hole, or you gotta have him as a white bread baby face. You can't have him be a tweener. Not with that look.
I kind of like it.
The thing with Sting was awesome because it really enhanced Sting's character. But
it made Luger It made Luger interesting too. I'd never found Luger at all interesting until then, and then I was like, he's kind of interesting.
You have I say this, and if people want to ridicule me, go ahead. Lex Luger has a body that would turn a straight man gay. Okay, the best body in professional wrestling history belongs to Lex Luger.
Okay.
From his start in WCW up until 2000, Lex Luger, talk about body of an Adonis.
Sure.
Just $1 million look. And everyone sits here and says, well, Hogan had a body.
Hogan had no abs.
Yeah, you look at Luger, chiseled from the gods.
Yeah, Hogan wasn't chiseled. He's just big.
And if you have a guy that looks like that, you have to have a really good playing partner to have him be a tweener. And they had that with Sting.
Mhm.
But to put him in that hole, is he with the Four Horsemen? Is he a good guy? Is he with the Dungeon of Doom? Just no, that was stupid. You could have done that with Randy Savage, though.
True. That's true. Yeah, you're right. You're
Because
right.
Savage is crazy.
Yeah.
And you can play on that. Like one Nitro, he could go out and beat the hell out of Ric Flair. And then then WCW Saturday night, he could go beat the hell out of Kevin Sullivan. And then the next Nitro, he could help Hulk Hogan. It's just whatever way his switches flipped that night. And then you build it to where he's helping Hogan and helping him and helping him. You get into the Doomsday Cage match, and it's Hogan and Savage versus the Dungeon of Doom, and and Savage, the ultimate betrayal, turns on Hogan, and then the coup de grace, the Dungeon of Doom turns on Kevin Sullivan, and Macho Man is their new leader.
That would have been cool.
Booking with Eric Pilcher. Thank you. No applause. And drop.
Yeah. That's not what we got. I don't even remember what we got. I don't even remember.
What we got.
I have a repressed memory. I don't even remember what actually happened. I really don't.
Got.
I just remember it was shit. And I remember being like, why did they even bother with any of this? This is so bad. This is so
bad. We early on we had Ric Flair dressed in drag attacking Randy Savage.
Yeah, I remember that.
Oh, that was awful. In a match against Avalanche.
Oh, yes.
At Uncensored. But the Doomsday Cage match.
It was a triple decker, if I remember correctly, right?
Triple decker or upper decker, whichever one you want to call it.
Yeah.
You had. Oh, I'm getting a tear in my eye talking about it. I love talking about this. So we had Hulk Hogan, and this is from WrestleCrap. And his on-again, off-again buddy, Randy Savage, taking on no less than 8 men. Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, The Barbarian, Lex Luger, Kevin Sullivan, The Ultimate Solution, Z Gangsta, Zeus, and Meng.
By the way, for people watching online, there's a picture of the structure that was the Doomsday Cage. And that looked like fun.
And they had this match open the pay-per-view.
Yeah, they did. Why did they open with it, do you think? Because they had to be able to, because they had to take it. I guess they couldn't have, it's not like just lowering a cage, right? So that was the only way they could do it.
Lower this shit. You gotta.
Yeah, so I guess they had no choice but to open with it, right?
Yeah, there is no choice.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And the match, I forgot about this. The Ultimate Solution and Z Gangsta, didn't even start the match. Nowhere to be found.
I don't remember this. What, they show up later?
And it was a 2-on-8 match, and Hogan and Savage no-sell everything.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Because the superpowers reunited and overcame the odds.
And then Jeep Swanson
forgot this guy
came down and attacked Hogan.
Yeah.
And Hogan sells for Jeep Swanson.
Well, a guy named Jeep attacks you. I mean, what are you going to do? You got to sell. You got to sell, right?
And he was the final solution.
The ultimate solution. The final solution is something different we don't talk about here.
Oh yeah, that's right. And then out comes Zeus.
Yes. God.
Just
Zeus
when
from
things look-
No Holds Barred fame, if in case
and
anyone
then
forgot.
we
Jesus Christ.
Brutus the Barber Beefcake, then known as the Booty Man,
What
running
in the
in,
fuck?
running in with frying pans to
So
help
bizarre.
our heroes.
So
But then Lex Luger put on a loaded glove. And Luger missed Hogan and hit Flair. Savage then pinned Flair to end the match.
yeah. It's just
How did this company become the top wrestling company in America?
what was the reaction of the crowd? I don't remember that either. Like, did this thing have any heat at all live? Because I can't imagine anyone enjoying this, whether they were watching it or they're live.
Before I answer that, Matt,
Yeah.
let's sum it up, shall we? Hogan and Savage beat up 8 guys.
Yeah.
4 of which are main eventers: Arn Anderson, Ric Flair, Lex Luger, and Kevin Sullivan.
Yeah.
In a match containing 2 actors. It was Ric Flair who did the job.
Yeah.
Foreign objects, including a loaded glove, frying pans, and powder.
And the Booty Man.
And the Booty Man. The return of Zeus. A guy that was named after one of the most hideous acts against humanity. And the Booty Man made a run-in.
Yep.
Tony Schiavone and Bobby Heenan, God bless his shilling soul, telling us this match was better than the World Series and the Super Bowl.
Did they say that?
Yes.
Which one of them said that, or did they both say that?
Now, if this doesn't sum up what you were in for, I don't know what will. Michael Buffer doing the introductions from some unknown part of the planet, considered to be one of the toughest men on earth. Mang! Bobby Heenan, this is great television history. I've never seen a match like this on television. I've never seen anything like this. It surpasses the Super Bowl, the World Series, anything you want to name. This is tremendous. Tony Schiavone. In the only way fans are watching this on pay-per-view all across the world. And this is why we are #1 in pay-per-view all around the world.
Good Lord. Wow.
Oh.
It's like serving someone a shit sandwich and saying, trust me, it's delicious.
It's like that scene in Anchorman where they make Ron Burgundy eat the turd. Like, just.
But what was the reaction of the crowd, though?
The crowd loved it initially until they realized that this was about 5 minutes in. Then they're like, what the hell? What are we watching?
Yeah. Oh, so bad.
Wow. Oh, my goodness. Yes, Uncensored 96. If those of you with Peacock want to see this.
Yeah. So,
actually, the Doomsday Cage match wrapped it up.
Oh, it did?
Yes.
Oh.
Yep.
So did they have it? So did they have it hanging from the ceiling? How did they do that?
I have no earth.
Yeah.
And let's delve into the woods a little bit. You want to know what some of the dark matches were that night? That aired. These matches did not. Mr. JL, Jerry Lynn defeated Dean Malenko.
Oh, I'm sure that was a great match.
They gave him 3 minutes and 20 seconds.
Yeah.
The Steiner brothers versus the Nasty Boys ended in a no contest at 5 minutes and 19 seconds.
Okay.
Here's what did make air. The Belfast Bruiser defeated Lord Steven Regal.
That was probably pretty good.
The Booty Man defeated Diamond Dallas Page in an I Quit match in 16 minutes.
I can't imagine that was anything great. Although I like DDP very much.
The Giant defeats Loch Ness,
Oh, God.
otherwise known as Giant Haystacks, in 2 minutes and 34 seconds.
Oh.
The longest match of the night was Sting and Booker T defeated the Road Warriors in a Chicago street fight.
Oh, that was pretty good from what I recall.
It was really good in 29 minutes and 33 seconds.
Okay.
But they gave this shit, the Doomsday Cage match, 25 minutes and 16 seconds.
Wow. Well, had to get the most out of that cage, I guess. So, no.
Yeah.
So from there, so that was early in, because this was pre-NWO, obviously. So that was early in Savage's tenure in WCW. So I think things got better after that. Oh, his feud with DDP, for example. We mentioned DDP. I would say his feud with DDP was probably the best of Savage's run in WCW. That was really good stuff from what I recall.
Yes, it really got DDP over. I actually went to the next pay-per-view, and you would think that would have gotten Randy Savage over. Nope, it did not. It did not.
What, the cage?
The Doomsday Cage did not get him over.
Okay.
The next month, he was in a Lethal Lottery tag team match. Ric Flair and Randy Savage with Woman and Miss Elizabeth defeated Arn Anderson and Eddie Guerrero.
Oh, I don't even really remember that. That was probably a good match, though.
Kind of hard to fit anything good into 4 minutes and 4 seconds.
That's it? That's all they got? Wow. Too bad, because there's a lot of potential there. That sounds like a fun match.
Okay. Yeah, they did that stupid Battle Bull thing, and
I actually always kind of liked that, but I know a lot of people weren't crazy about it.
I mean, the Battle Bull cards were always just so overloaded, and so you had to shortchange so many matches.
That's true.
And it just was a train wreck where you could have, I don't know.
Could have been done better. Yeah.
Yep. I'm trying to see when he started getting into the main event picture.
Yeah.
It wasn't the next month. Ric Flair and Arn Anderson defeated, no, he wasn't even on the next month's pay-per-view.
But he probably had a contract where he worked a light schedule anyway, compared to a lot of these guys.
Well, yeah, limited dates, certainly.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, it was certainly something. And then we just kind of get into the NWO, and then he feuds with Hogan again.
Yeah.
But nothing, there wasn't the belief that Savage could beat him.
Right.
And that was, I don't know. it just anything Hogan and Savage did against each other in WCW, just it feels like it was thrown together and never really cohesive with anything. I mean, I looked at their matches. A lot of they had the Halloween Havoc match right after Hogan turned.
Yeah.
But a lot of their world title matches were actually on Nitro.
Yeah, they could have done more with that. Really, kind of explored and exploited their history better. And then of course, eventually Savage joins the NWO.
Yep.
So then you've got them on the same side. And then eventually, I don't even remember what happened. What was Savage was in the NWO during his feud with Page, right?
Yes, he was. That was a
Okay.
huge part of it.
Yeah. Which
And
is funny because it didn't matter that he was in the NWO for that in a sense, right? Because even if he wasn't in the NWO, that still would have been like I said, they did do a good job with that.
yes, they did. I mean, it just seems as if WCW could have done so much more with that rivalry. Even if they had, I still say they should have had Savage betray Hogan in the Doomsday Cage.
Yep.
Because that really would have saved that horrible match. Also of note, I just saw this about that match. Someone messaged me and told me I forgot a key part. Brian Pillman was advertised to be in that match up until the day of the event.
Oh,
Problem, he had left WCW a month earlier.
yeah. Oh, weird.
Yeah. Very weird.
Yeah.
And I totally forgot because that's edited off the network broadcast.
Oh, it is. Okay.
The mentions of Brian Pillman. Tony Schiavone even mentions it before the match that Brian Pillman will not be appearing.
Okay. Oh, interesting. Yeah, so he has the feud with Page, and then what? See, I don't even remember. A lot of it's a blur for me after that.
He had a great feud, actually, very underrated feud with Bret Hart.
I barely remember.
Bret Hart was a member of NWO Hollywood, and Savage was a part of NWO Wolfpack.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Yep. It's coming back to me. Yeah.
And then we get Team Madness.
Yep.
I mean, and just things.
That was kind of the beginning of the end, right?
Yeah, Savage last appeared for WCW October 25th, 1999, and we know Hogan last appeared for WCW in August of 2000 at Bash at the Beach.
Yeah.
Savage did join NWA November 7th, 2004. Didn't do much. He had a handshake, per date handshake deal.
Yeah, and actually did very little there, and then that was kind of it for Savage. But now, as far as the rivalry, though, between Hogan and Savage, that continued outside of all of this, because when did Savage release his diss track against Hulk Hogan? Be a Man.
His diss track?
Yeah.
Oh no, Matt, you are underselling this.
Yeah. You think so?
What are you doing?
Be a man, Hogan.
It wasn't, yes, he had a diss track, but you also forget that it was a rap album.
It was a full album, but the whole album wasn't about Hogan, was it? Or maybe it was.
No.
Okay.
It included a tribute song to Mr. Perfect, Curt Hennig, as well as a diss track aimed at Hulk Hogan called Be a Man.
Yep.
And he even had a concert tour.
He did?
Yes.
I didn't realize that. I'm embarrassed to say I did not know that. I was embarrassed because he is my favorite wrestler of all time, but I didn't realize he actually toured.
He toured and promised there would be more albums.
Well, sadly, that did not come to fruition.
It did not. No. You know, the greatest white rapper of all time.
You think so?
Easily.
You put him ahead of Eminem, Vanilla Ice, and of course M Sizzle, the legend himself.
Definitely ahead of M Sizzle.
Okay.
Definitely ahead of Vanilla Ice. You know, I might give this edge to Savage over Eminem.
I should pull up the cover for anyone who thinks that we're kidding. If you are watching the video of this, and if you're just listening to the audio, by all means, go and find this. Oh yeah, I found the album cover. Oh, let me get this up here. The album cover is yeah, it's something.
I bought the album.
Yeah, I think because I was working at a music store at the time, I believe I did procure a promo copy of the album, but there it is. Be a Man, Macho Man Randy Savage. Look at him with those chains.
I bought a bootlegged version of this, a burnt CD from Classic Colt Cabana at an NWA show in Davenport, Iowa.
Yeah.
He photocopied the cover.
Oh, wow. No kidding. Yeah, I mean, it isn't exactly straight out of Compton, but it's something. It's something.
And he wrote on there in Sharpie, "Be a Man, Randy Savage," and autographed it, Colt Cabana.
Wow.
So not only did you get one of the great rap albums of all time, you got an autograph from Colt Cabana.
Wow, that is something. That's pretty funny. Great. Well, yeah, so that was his contribution to and that was after, of course, he appeared in Spider-Man, and I remember that because he actually
Bonesaw's ready.
Yeah, he actually references his appearance in Spider-Man in the song "Be a Man," making fun of Hulk Hogan for never appearing in.
I mean, he actually. I'm looking at his filmography right now. He appeared in an episode of Dexter's Laboratory. His voice did. He was in King of the Hill as Gorilla in an episode where Bill bulks up.
Okay.
Arliss, he was in an episode of that. Jeff Foxworthy Show, The Weird Al Show. He was in an episode of Walker, Texas Ranger.
Okay. Wow.
He was actually in some decent stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so what after all that? So Hogan no-sold all of that, right? Like Be a Man and everything. Hogan didn't really have much to say about Macho Man Randy Savage, from what I recall, until Macho Man died, correct?
Yeah, Hogan came out with a short time before Macho Man died. They buried the hatchet in a doctor's office.
Yeah. But he told that story after Macho Man died, though, correct? That's when he told that story?
Yes.
Do you believe him?
I mean, Hulk Hogan could tell me the sky is blue and I would go outside and check.
Right. Yeah, well, that's why I wonder, do you believe him? Because I don't even believe him. I think he made it up. I don't think they ever reconciled. I think he said that to make himself look good, because that's what Hulk Hogan does.
I mean, here's the deal. His brother, Lanny Poffo, Lanny said, Randy and Lanny were very close.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very, very close. Lanny, I'm trying to think, and I'm not seeing anything online. Lanny never said he didn't know if it happened.
Okay.
It's something like that were to have happened, I would think Randy would have told Lanny.
Yeah, you would think so, right?
Um, yeah, I mean, you hope it did,
Yeah,
but I mean, I don't see it. I mean,
yeah.
Hogan even said that how they were close to burying the hatchet and were planning to meet for a barbecue.
Hmm.
What?
We should clarify too for people who don't know, because there might be some listeners who are confused about something. So obviously, Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Randy Savage had an on-screen, one of the reason we're talking about their rivalry, one of the great on-screen multi-decade really rivalries in professional wrestling. But they also had there from all accounts, there were times where in real life they were very close friends, but also times where professional jealousy might have crept in. Both very intense. Randy Savage, in particular, a very intense and paranoid individual, and by all accounts, everyone says that about him. So they also had some genuine rough patches in real life. So art imitates life, life imitates art, and so they obviously they had a great rivalry, and at some points they were great allies on screen, but that also that was off screen as well. And so for anyone who's
Yes.
confused, for anyone who's hearing us go, wait a minute, why are they talking about these guys like they, like they had problems in real life? Well, because they did, both on screen and off screen. They had a lot of
Yes.
problems.
Savage blamed Hogan for the disillusion for the dissolvement of his marriage to Miss Elizabeth.
Yep, he blamed Hogan and what's his wife's name? Linda.
Linda.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I mean, blame Linda for whatever you want, to be honest. I do.
yeah. Well, she's a bit of
I'm
a
not.
train wreck, but
I mean,
um,
look, yeah, what just we'll leave that alone.
yeah, that's a whole other subject. But yeah, so they had a complicated, the relationship between their two characters was very complicated and complex, but so was their relationship in real life. So that's why we're speaking about it this way. For anyone who's confused, for who might be hearing us saying, "Wait a minute, what are they talking about?" Hogan telling this story and whatnot. That was the nature of their relationship, but I don't. It sounds like we're in agreement that Hogan's story is probably BS.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't I could see them meeting at a doctor's office,
yeah,
running into each other, and I could see
sure,
Randy being cordial, because Randy had let a lot of his grudges go
yeah,
later in life.
yeah.
Vince McMahon in 2010 um asked him to go into the Hall of Fame, but he said no, not without his father and brother in there.
That I did not realize. I didn't know that Vince had pitched that to Randy
Yes.
Savage in 2010. Okay.
Yep.
Well, so
He
they
wanted
effectively
to.
reconciled too, then, right? If that's true, then Vince and Randy had reconciled
I think it. I don't know. See,
because,
there's a difference between reconciliation and forgiveness.
yeah,
I I think Randy, I think, was always hurt by Vince just kind of saying, um, by saying no to him.
mhm.
Um,
Well, Randy probably because a lot of wrestlers have said this who have worked for Vince that their own relationships with Vince were complicated because Vince is complicated, right? And Vince has there's some very dark elements to Vince's personality, but they would also see Vince as kind of a father figure, um,
but
very much. And
I don't think Randy saw Vince as a father figure. I Because Randy and his real father were so very close. I mean, the
Yeah,
Poffo family was very close. I think
yeah.
what Randy saw Vince, I think what Randy saw Vince as is a professional friend. But I think the hurt from Randy is I did so many great things for you.
Hmm.
Why would you do this to me?
Hmm.
Why would you put me out to pasture? I
Right.
never held you up for money.
Right. And
I
that's the thing.
never,
Yeah, Savage always had an excellent reputation. In some ways, the polar opposite of Hogan, right?
yes,
Because people talk about Savage, he was paranoid and he could get a
but
little aggressive, but he was
he
always
never
honorable.
refused. Yeah, he never pulled the not gonna work for me, brother.
Right, right. He was
And
always professional.
and people need to realize how great of a guy Randy Savage is. You listen to DDP when the infamous night that Randy Savage lost to DDP,
Hmm.
that wasn't in the cards.
Yeah,
Randy was supposed to go over. Randy
yeah,
was supposed to win that match. And Randy said, well, I think tonight I'm taking the diamond cutter.
yep,
And DDP kind of looked at him because the diamond cutter was the most over finisher
yeah,
in
yeah,
wrestling at the time. And
yep,
you protect your finish. You
yeah,
don't. And he's like, well, he was a little scared because he's like, am I going to argue with Randy Savage
right.
and
But
say, I'm not?
Savage wanted to put him over. He volunteered to
Yeah,
put him
Savage
over.
is like, no, no, brother. You're going to give me the diamond cutter, middle of the ring, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah,
And Randy went to Eric Bischoff, and Eric said, "Okay, if that's
yep.
what you want to do,
Yeah, because
do it."
Savage was already such a legend. It wasn't going to hurt Savage, but it helped really put DDP on the map as a major
It
star.
did.
Yeah.
It did. And that match, if people haven't seen it, go watch it. You want to know how great Randy Savage is? That match, there are so many examples, but in my opinion, it's one of the top examples of
Mhm.
why Randy Savage is great.
I agree. You know
You
what?
you watch that and you get it.
Oh yeah. You know what just occurred to me too that I'd never thought about before until this conversation, but Savage and DDP have something in common, which I get the impression is relatively rare, but this might be why they were able to have such a solid match, is because something that other wrestlers have kind of complained about a little bit with both of these guys. I wonder if you know where I'm going with this. Is that so? Macho Man in particular had a reputation very early on for being someone who you weren't going to just call it in the ring, brother,
No,
like Hogan liked to do.
no.
He wanted, I mean, him and
There
Ricky
are
Steamboat, for example, they had pages and pages of actually written out of what they were going to do at WrestleMania 3, because Savage liked to plan things meticulously. And apparently DDP, and this is one thing about DDP that I guess, even though everyone loves DDP, but it did drive some people a little nuts. DDP was also very much like that. So he and Savage were a perfect match in that way.
he learned it from Savage.
That makes sense.
He learned it from Savage. And look, there are pluses and minuses to it.
Mm-hmm.
The plus is you know what you're going to do. The minus is if you don't get the crowd. You have meticulously planned this out. You now have to turn around and you got to pivot in the ring, which is very hard to do. Whereas if you call it in the ring, you're playing off the crowd.
Right.
But I mean, Savage, though, everything, he is so much like Bret Hart in the sense that it just always made sense.
Yeah.
Every movement, everything done, you were just like, it makes sense. And
Yeah.
it suspended your disbelief. you weren't just a person watching a choreographed match.
Yeah.
You actually are drawn in and you're feeling like this is an actual fight.
Right. Well, that's the thing. Savage probably had the confidence that, he was so good. It's like, we're not going to have to pivot because I know what the hell I'm doing. We're not going to have to pivot. So we can script this out and it will be fine. Because
I think a lot of Hogan's, we'll call it in the ring, was selfish. Because what are you going to say to Hulk Hogan in the ring if he says, we're not going to do that, brother?
well, yeah, that's that there's that infamous story Bill Goldberg I've heard tell in numerous interviews. He talks about the night that he beat Hogan for the belt in Atlanta and how nervous he was, and he was even more nervous when he went to Hogan to find out what they were going to do. And Hogan just looks at him goes and says, "We'll call it in the ring, brother." And Goldberg walks away from that conversation like, "Oh shit, I don't," and of course it actually ended up going fine. But that made him even more nervous because Hogan didn't want to plan anything, and he's just like, "Oh my god!"
Did it really go fine?
I thought so. I thought it was fine.
No. I mean, you did the best you could with what you had. I mean,
it was more about the moment. That match was more about the moment of seeing Goldberg win in Atlanta.
You had a guy with no understanding of the psychology of wrestling versus a guy who had no ability in the ring and green as goose shit. What are you gonna do? Yeah. I mean, yeah. Oh boy. Oy vey. So now I'm dreading next week again. Thanks, Matt.
Well, so before we talk about next week, is there any element to the Hogan versus Savage, one of the great rivalries? Is there any element of this that we missed? And by the way, for anyone joining us late, if you're listening to the live stream, we did do week one. I'm sorry, not week one, but last week. Well, last week in episode 7, we did week 1 of rivalries and covered all the WWF stuff. So, but is there anything we've missed, Eric?
I think the one thing we've missed is the point that we made last week, and we can't say it enough. Randy Savage added longevity to Hulkamania because Randy was the perfect foil for Hogan. And the shame in it is that I never feel like Randy got his comeback in that rivalry. It's a very one-sided rivalry if you look at the results of the one-on-one matches and everything.
Yeah, you're right. That's true. Hogan always went over. I hadn't thought of that, but you're right.
And you want to talk about why nowadays, as fans become smarter, Hulk Hogan isn't revered, but Savage is? It's because of things like this. Yeah. What Savage gave so much to this business. What did Hogan ever really give back? Not a damn thing, in my opinion. Did he put it on the map? Yeah, but don't underestimate it was Vince McMahon's brain.
Mm-hmm.
It was Vince's money. If WrestleMania 1 would have bombed, Hulk Hogan isn't out anything.
Right.
Vince McMahon is done.
Right.
Dead in the water.
Yeah. Agreed.
So no, Hogan to me is the most overrated face of any professional sport ever. Because you look at the just self-serving bullshit that this man did. This man tried to end The Undertaker 1 year into his career.
Yeah.
And then
you got me, brother.
Yeah. And then defends it by saying, well, I told Vince to call him. And then it's found out that because he met him in Suburban Commando, but that's bullshit because Undertaker was already signed.
Oh, yeah, Undertaker was already, well into his run.
He wasn't well into his run.
Well,
he was signed.
Couple.
No, he hadn't even debuted yet, but he was signed. They were still trying to come up with what to do with him.
when they started filming, because by the time the movie came out, Undertaker
At the
was
time
already
the
in.
movie came out, yes, but when
Okay.
they
Oh, okay.
Hogan's
Okay.
story is he met Mark Calloway on the
Oh.
set of Suburban Commando and called Vince and was like, "Brother, you got to sign this monster. He'd be perfect
Oh.
for me to work with."
Oh. Okay.
No, Mark Calloway was already signed.
Yeah. Oh. I gotcha. Okay. Okay. I gotcha.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Hogan had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Nothing. You want to know who had something to do with it? I believe it was Dusty Rhodes who got WWE to notice Mark
Yeah.
Calloway
Yeah.
by bringing him up after Ole Anderson said what is the most Ole Anderson line ever: "Kid, you'll never draw a dime in this business."
Yeah. If only you knew.
Ole Anderson didn't know shit. That
No.
yeah, just an idiot. I mean, yeah, so many people are like, Ole had a great mind for the business. The fuck Ole did? No. Ole thought that Sting was going to be a mid-carder.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ole was skimming money off the top in Georgia Championship Wrestling. That's what made it so easy for Ted Turner to buy it out. If Ole was so damn smart, he wouldn't have skimmed money off the top. He wouldn't have challenged Jerry Briscoe to a fight. When Jerry Briscoe led to Vince McMahon buying Georgia Championship Wrestling.
Yeah.
So no, Ole's a moron. I will never give Ole Anderson his due because guy's an idiot.
Well, he's gone now. So
Thank heavens.
No, I'm pretty sure Ole's in hell. No, I'm just kidding. All right. So I think. Oh, go ahead.
If there are others that in wrestling that could join in, Bill Watts. Bill Watts, if you're watching this, you're a piece of shit. You're a racist asshole, and you deserve every bad thing that has happened to you for just the way you treated African American wrestlers behind the scenes. You could say that you put Ernie Ladd over and gave him the book and everything else, but you know what you really said about him behind the scenes. You're a piece of shit.
Well,
and if I could find a way to work that into every episode, I would.
Well, should we?
Bill Watts.
Well, on that note, should we talk about next week, our the main event for next week? Would you rather I say it? Bill Goldberg. That's our subject for next week. Timely, because Bill Goldberg is going to be. I'm a little unclear on something. Is he actually challenging Gunther for the title, or is it a non-title match? It is for the title.
It's a title match
on Saturday night's main event, and they haven't said it, but this is supposed to be Goldberg's send-off, right? This is his retirement match.
Yep.
And you are not excited, I assume.
I am not. Serenity now. Serenity now. I will not have positive things next week. Yeah. We'll get into it. There's a lot there.
So,
and yeah.
Should we do next week on Sunday like we did this week, because it'll be after Saturday night's main event?
Well, no, Saturday night's main event is the following week.
Oh, it's the following week.
Next week is Night of Champions.
Oh, okay. No, so yeah. But yeah, so Goldberg will be our subject next week. Goldberg. I'll be very curious to hear what you have to say.
Oh, I need to ask for forgiveness all week.
What if he hears what you said about him and he challenges you? What if he says, Eric Pilcher, you're next? Then what are you going to do?
Don't kick my head off, Goldberg. Don't kick my head so hard I have a stroke 2 years later. Please.
He is a 58-year-old man. He probably can't kick as hard as he used to.
I mean, like, don't throw me under the bus like you did William Regal. Don't,
Ooh, that'll be fun to talk about.
don't. Oh man. Uh,
We'll have
uh,
fun.
uh,
We'll have
don't.
fun.
There's so many don'ts.
I know
Oh,
that'll make it fun. I look forward to that. I look forward to that.
oh gosh. Uh,
So shall we, as Gorilla Monsoon would say, shall we stick a fork in it? Stick a fork in it. This one's done.
yeah. In closing on Randy, we kind of got off track. In closing on Randy Savage and Hulk Hogan,
Yes,
as great as it was, it could have been so much better.
agreed.
And you, Randy, it's just one of the biggest misses to me in pro wrestling history. Randy never got his comeback, never got his, you know, yeah, it just never, it never made sense to me why.
Yeah,
And, I have my beliefs on it. Hogan is Hogan, and
yeah.
it's always about him, and it's not about the business. Uh, and it for me as a fan, it's great to see Hogan get crapped on like he is now on the Pat McAfee show and on getting booed, and people just I don't buy this BS.
Hmm.
Because there are guys like Randy Savage, and lesser known guys like King Kong Bundy, and that deserved a small run and didn't get it because of Hogan.
Hmm.
And Savage is probably the greatest tale of that. And the fact that Randy still carved out one of the greatest careers of all time
Hmm.
speaks to his talent and ability. And just, man, eh, I said it about Brett and I'll say it about Randy. Tell me a bad Randy Savage match. Tell me a bad one-on-one Macho Man Randy Savage match.
I can't think of
I,
one.
I'll, I'll wait. Anyone wants to send it to me, we can discuss.
Yeah,
I doubt you can do it.
yep, yep. Well, very good. So we'll end on that note. Episode 8 of Tough Bumps in the book. Eric Pilcher, thank you so much. I'm Matt Connerton. If you want to learn more about me, mattconnerton.com. And where should people go for more about you, Eric?
They can look me up on Twitter, Pilcher 319. They Facebook, Eric Pilcher, Instagram, Pilcher 617.
All right, very good. All right, that's it for episode 8 of Tough Bumps. We'll talk at y'all